Alrighty, Daddy, this is mock assessment 3, so let's go ahead and look at the instrucciones. Alright, it probably needs some setup first because we're using the jest library, so yep, here we go. I cloned it in the command line run npm install. Alright, let's do that. Right, make sure you're in I'm in the right folder, right? Because otherwise this will be very, very awkward. Right, npm install, let's do its thing. Look at that thing go. Okay, a lot of deprecated stuff. I don't really care. Oh no, 13 vulnerabilities. It doesn't really matter. All right, the start test run npm run test dev. All right, so that is how you run the tests. All right, let me look at the package.json. All right, cool. All right, so it's already set up for us. We'll be able to do npm test, npm test dev, and we'll be good to go. All right, so that is it for the setup. So we've got two files, the JS file and the .test.js file. So our code will go here and our test will go here. Let's go look at what the first test is supposed to be. All right, open that up. All right, using the starter repository, implement some of the functions below, write the required test. You primarily get points for the test you write. Well, you're only going to get points for the test you write. On the actual assessment, you will be asked to write and test one very simple function, medium, and difficult. All right. You may write additional test cases as well. Additional test cases will not affect your grade. All right. So there are several functions described below. Each has associated test cases. Like the assessment, you get a point for each correct and passing test you write. Okay, cool. Like on the real assessment, start with the simplest test cases to get quick points and try to get rid of the rest of the test cases. As a practice for this assessment, pick at least two of the functions to do. The easier ones are at the top. All right, neat. Okay, in miscellaneous.js, create a count letters function and export it. All right, let's go ahead and do that first. We're going to create a count letters function. I'm going to close this other window out because I'll be annoying. All right, so I need to create a function count letters. All right, and then we do module.exports equals count letters. All right, so remember with Node, we can export functions, so you can turn a file like miscellaneous.js into a module. All right, I think there's going to be more than one function, though, I'm going to be export, but I guess we'll like cross that bridge when we get to it. So it has two parameters, word and letter. Word is a string, letter is a string, a single English letter to find a word. So, okay, cool. All right, so it'll be word and letter. Okie doke. So what do you want me to do? The function returns the number of times letter appears in the word. Letters count even if they do not match case. Alrighty, and we got some test cases. So let's make our test cases first. I'm going to go ahead and copy this so I have this on hand. All right, that's to make test cases that cover each of these. I'm going to comment that out. Okay, cool. So we're using good. So remember, you write all your tests in the test file. So we'll do test. Whoa. So we will do. All right, so let's start with our test. So test. I don't know why. Okay, I don't. Come on. There we go. All right, we'll describe the test. H appears once in hello. Okay, and then arrow. And this will be where our test is. I'm gonna go ahead and just like stub. Stub means like do the skeleton of. I'm gonna stub out all these tests and then we'll fill them as we go along. So give me a second to do that. Okie doke. So all I did was I just like did test and then did the arrow function and then just put the name of the case. Remember that this part is up to you. It should describe the thing that you're testing so that we know. And I can get rid of this now. All right, cool. Now we're going to import our miscellaneous.js. So import, what the heck what we're going to call this? I guess we can call this count letters. Count letters from, okay, miscellaneous, let's see, is it up one or no? Doesn't, I think I have to go up one. So source, there we go. Miscellaneous. Okay, cool. So now we've imported the module. So now all this code, okay, will be available here, right? So I'll be able to just go ahead and do this function. So H appears in hello, so I'm going to do let test equals count letters. Now in this test, it's supposed to be H and hello, so we're going to have the word comes first and then the letter. So L, hello, and H. Let me actually repaste these because I want to make certain I'm getting the right. So I guess P is the only one that's uppercase, so I can just remember that. All right. So H and hello, and then I expect that test to be 2. Well, 1, excuse me. 1 H and hello, Jonathan. All right, so I expect test to be 1. All right, so if I run my test, I'm going to go ahead and comment these other ones out. I'm going to just do this one at a time. All right, but I'm going to save, and then I'm going to do npm test. Cool, my test failed, which I expected. Okay, so, oh, I'm not supposed to import. I'm actually supposed to do let count letters equals require. My mistakes, my apologies. Source miscellaneous. Okay, cool. So let's run that again. Okay, cool. So this is the way it should look. All right. H appears once in hello. We haven't done anything. So of course the test is going to fail. All right. So let's actually work on our code so that it fulfills this test. All right. Now, how you implement this is up to you, right? There's a bunch of different ways, but I'm going to use for loops because that's what we learned in class, and like that's fine. There's other ways to do it, which I can show in like probably a little bit later. Let's use one that's easy to understand. All right, I'm going to do let letter count is equal to 0. So we're going to have a placeholder variable for, and I guess we could do let L in word, C# L of word. Okay, I'm going to loop. I'm basically going to loop through the word. Now you may be thinking, Jonathan, like, how are you going to loop through a string? Well, strings are arrays, so you can loop through a string. So for example, if I do like Bob, right? Like let Bob equals Bob, and I do Bob 1, this will give me O. Okay, this will give me O because this is an element in index number 1. So you can actually loop through a string. All right, so I'm going to loop through the string, okay, and then basically if the letter dot to lowercase in JavaScript, I believe it's lowercase, is equal to L dot to lowercase. I'm just normalizing it because, like I said, we don't care. It's case insensitive, so I just want to make certain when we do our comparison that they're both lowercase. All right, so if it is letter count plus plus, okay, and then I'm going to return letter count. All right, now, again, there are, of course, much fancier ways to do this, but let's test to see if this works. Okay, make sure I save everything. Cool. I'm going to do npm test. Let's see if it works. Cool. It passed, right? H appears once in hello. All right. So now, well, the rest of these, I should be able to just take this same code and copy it over. So let's go ahead. I'll do that in a second. We'll go one by one. All right. So I just went ahead and it's kind of the same thing over and over again. So I did my test here. So I basically called the function with hello and L, and I expect that I should get back 2. Remember, test is, remember, if you don't understand function returns, it's going to be very painful. I'm running the function count letters, and it should return something. The return should be the number of times the letter appears in the word. So I expect this to be 2, 3, 2, 2, etc., right, depending on what the test case was. So let's go ahead and save this, and I'm going to run it. Okay, cool, everything passed. Okay, 5 tests, 5 passed. Fantastic. Let's see what we got next. Alrighty, so we did this, and miscellaneous has created a convert temperature function and export it. Alrighty, so we're gonna have more than one function in a file. That's fine. So we're gonna do function. What did they call this sucker? Convert temperature. All right, convert temperature. Okay, since we have multiple, I've got to export multiple things. So I'm going to change the syntax here a little bit. Okay, remember, if you want to export multiple functions or multiple things, okay, you can wrap them in an object like this, okay, and then now you can do it. I will have to change my tests over here, though, because now count letters is not a single function, it's one of these. So I'm going to do, change this to miscellaneous. All right, cool. I'll show you a trick with Visual Studio Code. All right, I'm going to highlight all the text that contains text I would like to change. I don't want to retype this over and over. I'm going to do Control F, hit this button, and do replace. So I'd like to replace count letters with misc.count letters. All right, I should have the thing selected, but let's do replace all. Okay, cool. So I didn't have to do all that typing. So just to reiterate, you can replace things. You can like select them by hand. Do Control F, hit this button for like replace. This is the thing you're looking for. This is what you would like to replace it with. And you can hit replace all or replace one by one, either which way. Right? Because I didn't want to like go ahead and like type all that out. All right, what this means is that I am bringing in, okay, this whole file, which contains multiple functions. So this miscellaneous MISC variable is this entire file. So I have to use dot notation in order to call the function. So I'm just going to double check to make certain everything's still working. So I'm going to run my test again. From the test perspective, everything should be the same, right? So everything passed. Fantastic. Alrighty, so we want to convert the temperature. This function has two parameters, from temp and to unit. Okay, so from temp and to unit. All right, this one's probably gonna be a little harder. All right, from temp is a string including a number and a unit like 32F or 23C, a string indicating the desired temperature unit. Okay, the function converts the from temp to the desired unit and returns the result as a number. Oakley dokley, let's do test cases. All right, now here's a good case for describe. Okay, because the reason I think the describe will be good is because these tests are like in different groups, right? Like this is the test for counting letters. So I'm going to describe counting letters tests, comma, arrow function. Okay, and I should be able to just take all these tests and put them in there. Control X, Control V. All right, and then I'm just going to save and make sure that didn't like blow anything up. Or I didn't blow anything up. Everything ran hunky-dory. So if you look, well, let's do the way they want us to do it, which is, where did I put it? Okay, here it is. Over here. Where did you want me to run? How did you people want me to run this? All right, cool. You want me to run npm run test dev? Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, watch all verbose. All right, so you get to see all the data. All right. Okay, cool. It shows like each of the things, and then I can filter by file name or run only tests. I hate watch mode. I think it's useless. But you didn't hear me say that. Anyway, so you can see like the full thing, but basically it's all the counting letters kind of go in a group now. And so now we can do another describe. And this will be for like the temperature tests. Cool. And then now we can go ahead and write our tests. All right, I'm going to paste our test cases so I can remember them. All right, cool. So let's look at the first one. So test. So you want to like converting 50F stays 50. Arrow function. Okie doke. So I am going to say that let converted temp again, these are just variable names, I just named them, is equal to miscellaneous dot convert temperature string 50f, and the second one's f, and I expect converted temp dot to be. Well, does this return a string or does it return a number? I guess that's the question. The function converts the from temp to the desired unit, returns the result as a number. Okay, cool. All right, so it should be 50. All right, cool. So you see how I'm like double checking the requirements, like what type do they want? Because that's important for the test. Otherwise, the test is going to like fail. All right, so for the wrong reasons. So I'm gonna do npm test. Should fail. Yep. Expect it to fail because it doesn't do anything. All right, so now we're going to work on convert temperature until it does the thing, until it can pass this test. I'm going to go ahead and sub out the rest of the test, so give me a second to do that. Okie doke, so I just went ahead and did the rest of them and put like what I expect and what the parameters are going to be. So basically for each one of them, do convert temperature and then put the parameters in and then tell it what I expect. This is like, it's just a lot of the same like thing over and over again, so I want to just like make it quick. So let's go into miscellaneous.js and let's actually write our convert temperature. All right, so I'm basically getting a number and I need to get rid of the F or the C. So basically I'm going to take my number and I'm going to separate the number part from the letter part and then figure out what I'm converting into and then run an equation. So let's do some pseudocode first so that we can think about how to do this. So separate number part from letter part for the first temp, for the from temp variable. Figure out what I'm converting to. Run the equation and return the value. Okay, cool. So let me think about how I can do the first part. There's a number of ways. All right, let's use find. I'm going to go ahead and do let is Celsius equal from temp dot find x equals f, or not c, excuse me. All right, and then I'm going to do the same for is Fahrenheit. Okay, cool. So basically what I'm doing is I'm basically saying, hey, go find whether or not this is like C or F, because that will determine whether or not I need to apply the which function. And then what I could do is strip out the C and the F. Okay, I made a slight mistake. You can't use find with strings, so I'm going to use index of instead. So I'm going to try to see if basically does from temp contain C or F. Index of, remember, it will return the index of something, and if it doesn't find it, it will return -1. I also get the value by using the slice method. So I start at the first element, and then when -1 means like the length -1, it's just shorthand. So what I mean is I want to get like everything from the string up until the last character, because the last character is always going to be C or F. Again, this is all happy case, right? Like it just has to satisfy the test. There's numerous ways I think that someone could break this function, but let's not dwell too much on that. All right, so now I know whether or not I am starting off with Celsius or Fahrenheit, and then I also know like what the actual value is going to be. So let's actually work with that. So if the value is Celsius, right? So if this Celsius does not equal -1, okay, and I'll do it else here. All right, so a couple ways to do this. So I will first try to figure out how to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. I actually don't know how to do that. I'm gonna Google it. Let's go ahead and see if we can find it. Let's go to Google and convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. It's like 9/5 something. But I also want to show you how to Google things. What is multiply by 1.8 and add 32. All right, cool. So integrate Celsius to Fahrenheit, 1.8, and add 32. All right, cool. So I'm gonna make some helper functions. Okay, so function convert to Fahrenheit, which is amount, well, I guess temperature makes sense to here. All right, and then we're gonna do, what was it? What did they tell me to do? I have such short-term memory. Multiply by 1.8 and add 32. So return temperature times 1.8 plus 32. Okay, and then order of operations, multiplies will happen first. So let me double check. All right, cool. And I'm guessing it's the opposite for function convert to Celsius. So it's just the opposite. All right, subtract 32 and multiply by 5/9. All right, cool. So temperature minus 32. I'm going to use parentheses. Times, what do they tell me? 0.5556. All right, we're going to return this. All right, I'm just making helper functions. All right, so you won't be punished for making helper functions. So that way, like, your main function doesn't get too bloated. All right, so let's go back to this. So if it's Celsius, so basically, if it's Celsius, I want to convert to, so if it's Celsius, right, and, oh, there's kind of an and here, right? So if it is Celsius, and to unit is equal to F, right? So I'm converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So I'm going to return convert to Fahrenheit value. And I'm absolutely sure there's a snappier way to do this, but Celsius is not, if it's still Celsius, to unit to C, just return the value. Okay, I think I should convert this temperature times 1.8. Okay, so we're going to actually do a little bit of error handling. I want to make sure that this is a number. So we talked a little bit about casting things. Remember that you can make, like, for example, we're getting a string. I want to make certain that this is a number, so you can just basically, like, create a new number, like that with this syntax. So that way you're absolutely sure that, like, it's a number. Okay. Actually, we can do that here. That way I don't have to, like, type that all over again. All right, so I can just leave value as is. Again, like, this is breakable code, but that's fine. All right, so else if it's Fahrenheit and 2 unit equals C. All right, so basically if I'm converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius, I'm going to convert to Celsius value, and then otherwise I'm just going to return the value. So really, I could combine this together. When we refactor, we can do that. All right, so got my 4 cases. Run the equation, return value. All right, let's see. Let's just test this out and see if it works. I don't know. Legitimately don't know. So let's try. All right, everything passed. Okay, cool. Right, I could refactor this, like this case and this case result in the same thing, so I could probably change this statement. So I'm thinking, since there's 4 cases, I can just remove this, and we'll try that again. Yep. All right, cool. So I was able to meet all of the requirements. All right, and again, this is like test-driven development. This is what it looks like. Again, I use helper functions because they help me keep the code a little bit cleaner. And again, I think there's a much snappier way of doing this. I just did it off the top of my head. All right, there's more to the mock assessment. I'm not going to do it all in one video, so this will be the part 1. You can expect part 2 to come a little bit later.